Fear of failure is really stupid. And everyone always talks about short-term failure, but what about long-term? Short-term, like being you get rejected. Long-term being you die having never accomplished anything. And I think that's a much worse failure. But first we'll talk about short-term. Hold on. Let me get through this fence. So, short-term failure. The thing you probably clicked on this video for. I think it is stupid, and you probably know it's stupid, but let me explain why I think it's stupid. That's because short-term failure is generally long-term success. So when you fail right now, you are either building skills that will help you in the long term, or you took a chance that could have led to a long-term success. So obviously there's some types of short-term failure which are bad, but generally our fear of short-term failure is excessive because we're focused on the short-term outcomes, the short-term failure, and not the long-term success. But what about long-term failure? Surely that would be valid, right? You would think that not wanting to die, having never accomplished anything, would be fair enough. And this is what I thought until recently, until like a day ago actually. So I haven't fully thought this through, so, you know, don't listen to me. But wow, look at the view. That's nice. So if you die having never accomplished anything, that is obviously a bad outcome. But does that mean that the fear of long-term failure is justified? I don't think so. Because I think any kind of fear, when it is not just that little emotion that you then don't worry about, any kind of actual fear that has any kind of influence on your life as a whole and your major decisions, I think it is bad. And that's because when you have a fear, you are running away from that fear rather than running towards something you want. So if you want to never die alone, but you're talking to people out of fear, you're talking to people to get away from your fear, not for the sake of talking to people. And that's going to kind of mess up your priorities a little bit. So when you fail, because you have that fear, the failure will feel a lot worse. Because then you are like close to your fear, which is a terrible situation. Whereas when you don't have that fear, but you're looking forward to something and you don't get it, that's a bit easier to deal with. It's experiencing something really bad or not experiencing something really good. Not experiencing something really good is slightly easier for us to cope with, I think. Just human nature. A difference I've noticed between short-term and long-term failure is that short-term seems to be slightly more focused on you, on what other people think of you. Long-term is still a lot of that, but slightly more individualized. So for example, short-term, you might be worried about making a fool of yourself in a class presentation. Long-term, you might be worried about your family and friends and everyone you see on the street just looking at you and going, that guy, he's not successful, he doesn't make a lot of money. But I think the long-term one is slightly more personal. So it's slightly more for your own reasons rather than people judging you. So you might just want to make money so that you can live a good life. And your fear is that if you don't do that, you won't live a good life. This is just using money as an example. Obviously, that applies to everything. So that's another reason why short-term failure is really stupid, but long-term is still kind of stupid. One type of long-term failure that I'm not sure is bad, I think it might actually be okay, I'm not sure, is the fear of your letting your friends and family and loved ones down and your community. And not for a selfish reason, so not letting them down because then they'll break up with you, for example. That's a selfish reason, and that is bad. but the fear of genuinely their well-being not being as good as you can possibly make it. That might be a genuine fear. I'm not sure that is valid. I don't know. So let me know what you guys think about that one. As for how you can actually stop these fears, for short term, it's easier. You just have to focus on the long term. So see the positives to what you're doing rather than just the immediate potential negatives. It's still hard, but it's easier. For long term, I'm not really sure. I think realizing them is a great first step, because a lot of people don't even realize them and don't realize they're bad. That's kind of what I want to try and do with this video, is help you guys realize that a lot of these long-term fears are dictating your life. And I kind of realized that they're dictating mine recently. So if you can become aware of them, that's the first step, right? And then after that, I don't really know. I guess you just think it through. I'll update you guys on that when I know myself, but I think that's all for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the view, and I'll see you next time.